Greetings and welcome to the free masterclass. And my name is Terri Messenger, and I thought I would show up just a few minutes early just to ensure that all of my technology is going to go to plan. So, congratulations for making perhaps who knows, maybe one of the biggest decisions of your life. So, as I go through today, I would like to just let you know that I may not be able to see your comments. However, I would like to say that I am live streaming this and it's going to you. And it is also broadcasting into another group. And what we will be doing is keeping this content together for about 3 days. So once we finish the 5-day series, this will be removed. So this is temporary and it's a gift to you. So welcome, welcome. And maybe it is the biggest opportunity of a lifetime for you to be able to translate your life into your legacy. Because what you are about to embark on is you are going to go into your genius zone. So just a few housekeeping matters before we, hit the ground running, so to speak. Now, the content is based on important questions that are going to be held in the workbook, and the workbook is going to be dropped into the comments of this live stream. And it's a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle. If you do the video, it'll be great and you'll certainly open your mind and expand yourself to so much more. But if you do the workbook and the video and you put them both together, you are going to have a powerful and great experience that could change your whole trajectory of your life. So make sure you do get that workbook. Make sure that you go through it and you answer the questions, because the way that I have positioned the questions, and questions are actually my art, okay? So Anthony Robbins says that the quality of your questions are like the power of your life, right? And so the questions are really designed to reach inside you and unleash the secrets from within, the secrets that live within you. So I want to say a very big welcome and congratulations, because imagine being given the biggest opportunity of a lifetime and translating your life into your legacy. So you're about to enter into your genius zone. And I want to congratulate you for making this decision. And this, as I said, could possibly be the one decision that changes your whole trajectory. So when I say that, my life changed in 2006. So I was empty. I was depressed. I was anxious. My marriage had broken down. I didn't have a home to live in. I had no job. And really, my life was in tatters. I even felt like, I was, disconnected from my family, my friends, and my community. So while I was in this very dark place, I remember I was studying to do a Bachelor of Ministries. And in case you wanted to know, a Bachelor of Ministries is for people who are going to become a minister, a pastor. And I was working with people extensively, but I felt like my life did not make sense. I felt incongruent, like there was something missing. If you can imagine taking a jigsaw puzzle and literally throwing up all the pieces in the air, it was like everything was there. And if the package guaranteed that everything was there, the fact is that it was like a big scattered mess. And not only was it a big scattered mess, but I was incongruent. And let me tell you, when you are incongruent, that means that you are not aligned with your God-given purpose. You know, things can go wrong. But on the other hand, when my life changed in 2006, when I learned how to actually take control and start driving my own bus, when I realized and recognized that I had this amazing subconscious mind that could be recoded, that could be rewired. And because my life drastically and radically changed at the speed of light, I then went about practicing it straight away. I didn't wait until I was perfect. I didn't wait until, somebody said, Terri, you've got enough experience, you are good enough. I began to fail forward. And I'm telling you about this journey. So, in case you are a coach or you've already got a qualification, but you just can't put it into action, or perhaps even worse, you may be in a part of your life where you are just lost and feeling like you are blown around in the wind. Well, your life is about to change. So, as you know, myself being a world-class coach and trainer came from years and years of experience in clinic. In fact, when we sold our clinic, I had actually seen over 3,800 people. And all of the people that came to see me were referrals. But there was one magical secret that was going on, and that was that when people's lives were transforming, something strange was happening. And guess what that was? So it was like people were able, that they may have come to me because they weren't happy with their body, or they may have come to me because they weren't happy with their job, or they may have come to me, they came to me for many reasons. They came to me for addictions, they came to me with physical trauma and pain, they came to me, with trauma. And this is what I noticed. When we unplugged and we released the years and the years of their wounds, something very strange happened. It's like all of a sudden they made room and they found themselves, they found their mojo, they found their power, and they found their light. Now, what I noticed is, even though I had a signature program for releasing trauma and stress, it was obvious that even in my own path, that suddenly people would rise up into epic success. Although that wasn't originally why people were coming to see me. They were coming to see me, unfortunately, because they had so much trauma. They had so much going on in their lives. It was causing physical pain. It was causing emotional pain. And really, all of these things come from one factor. There's just one word, and I'm going to simplify this, and that is incongruence. So what is incongruence? Incongruence is where you are not aligned with your real purpose, your value system, and what you truly want. So as a result, this can lead to emotional problems, physical problems, and all of those elements. However, let's turn the tide. Let's now shift it to what happens when a person actually becomes aligned. When a person becomes aligned, and take it from me, it happened to me, it's happened to many thousands of people, they become lit up. They become on fire. They become passionate. Their health improves. Yes, I've seen people's physical forms completely transform. Now, I will be doing and conducting a special technique at the end, which is a very simplified version of how to bring congruence when something is not working. However, I just want you to sit back, relax, and take this in and allow this to be your sacred time. So, I started out, I want to give you an example about finding your God given gift. Sometimes people never ever find it. They can go right through to the end of their lives and never actually discover it. They may notice that there were certain things in their life where they shone, where they really came to life, where they felt like they were in their sweet spot, but they may just push it to the side and ignore it and go on with life. Well, I was given a lot of opportunities growing up. I went to a lot of schools, and because I went to so many different schools, it was a little bit disconcerting in the way that I didn't really have a rock solid foundation. But we must find the gold nugget in everything that happens in our lives. And the gold nugget for me was I became very accustomed to meeting new people. So that was the upside. Now, I felt like a round peg in a square hole. So I was like the black sheep. And this is because I had something within me that I believe was unique, but it really caused me so much pain, so much suffering, so much of a low self-esteem. I found that when I look back at school, I was either the bottom of the class or the top of the class. So when you look at your life, you'll notice where you stand out. You'll notice where you struggle, and you'll notice that, by the time you get to day 5 of this course, your life is going to make sense. Everything is going to come together. But to bring it back to right now, let's just talk about, some of the elements that cause you to be where you are now. How you were raised, the kind of values and the kind of beliefs that came from those people around you. Well, when I was 8 years old, I was actually selling tea chests and I was doing a really good job. But of course, I just took it as a part of life because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And the funny thing about human beings is that when you are really good at something, you tend to just sort of push it to the side. But then when you stumble, for example, I was sacked from 8 jobs in a row because they were all administrative jobs and they were jobs that I was what we call incongruent in. So that was absolutely disheartening. That was soul crushing for me. And I felt embarrassed and I felt ashamed. And yet I went into a job by default where it was in sales. And suddenly when it came to connecting with people, I sold 25 pairs of shoes. But of course, I just thought that was normal because the things that we sometimes are good at just seem like normal. We don't really take notice. And this is what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to look inside your childhood and observe the things where you felt present, where you felt completely, at one with yourself when you think back about it. So I failed forward for many years, but again, every failure really led to the path of where I am today. And that can be the same for you. So this is going to be about extrapolating. Extrapolating, and that's a weird word, right? But when you think about extrapolating, it's like pulling out all of your past. And if you could imagine yourself pulling everything out and laying it out in front of you and actually putting all of the negative things and the struggles and the challenges over to one side. So you just become an observer. And then all of the, the great things that you may have just let slide, but those happy moments, those moments where you were lost in time, those moments where you felt confident, where you think about it, it lit you up. It may have been times when you were in certain environments with certain people or doing certain things, or whether you were in quiet positions, creative positions, administrative positions, advisory positions, or sales positions, or connecting positions. Just look at your life and begin, as you hear my story unravel, begin to think about your own life, because I'm not sharing my story so I can talk about myself. I'm sharing my story so I can extrapolate from you the gold nuggets and get you to just be an observer and actually bring everything from your past from within and bring it out in front of you. Because let's face it, the past is gone. Would you agree? Yesterday is never going to happen again. Last Christmas, last year, it is all gone. So when you think about it, it's all just like your learnings and their videos. And the fact is that how many of us are playing the same old movies over and over and over? And even if we're not playing old movies over and over from our past, what about the triggers? Now, what do I mean by what about the triggers? Now, triggers are things that set you off, that cause you to feel the way you do when it's like the hair that broke the camel's back, right? So these are the things that are really lodged in your nervous system, and these are the things that are going to become extrapolated and translated from your pain of your story and converted into your fame and your glory. Because let me promise you, when you live a life that is so lit up, that is so amazing, when you are in your genius zone, you will feel so congruent. So a person can go through life feeling unfulfilled. And as a result, it can lead to all sorts of things, as you know, depression, anxiety. It can even lead to emotional, physical, and spiritual dysfunction. However, when you live according to your life purpose, you will not know yourself. I know that, my whole life, it is nothing like feeling just so fulfilled, so at one with yourself. I loved watching people that I was healing in clinic. So I noticed that the women would come in and they would look at dealing with trauma. They would want to be releasing excess kilos. But what they were doing was they were feeding their emotions, right? So because they were feeding their emotions, they were stuffing themselves. They were actually eating and behaving and doing things according to not their hunger, but according to their past. And so once they began to release it, once they began to just peel away the onion layers and go back and find their divine, human switch of where they came into this world as a perfect human being, and they had this switch that metabolized their body, that told them when they were hungry, that gave them the ability to know and to crave the right food. Suddenly, they didn't have to go on any diet. They didn't need to do anything that was, going to obstruct them or make them feel like they were deprived. All of a sudden, the switch came on, the light switch. Women were releasing excess kilos, so were men. But something stranger was happening. It was adjusting their body. Women that were on medication for thyroid and all these elements was suddenly becoming over-medicated. Now, how could this be? And purely and simply, it was because they began to align the most genius part of you, which is your subconscious brain. Now, since your subconscious brain is operating everything, your nervous system, your blood, your cells, Deepak Chopra says it perfectly. The reason that some people can heal from the most terminal illnesses and actually have this miraculous healing, whereas other people can, just go down that path of what is obviously predicted, is because the cells of your body are eavesdropping on your thoughts. Now, I'm going to say that again. The cells of your body are eavesdropping on your thoughts. Now, imagine this. If a cell is completely purified from trauma, stress, and the nervous system is released from the past, and there was no judgment, and you could go right back to the very beginning of time, what you would discover is that because the mindset changes at that subconscious level, the nervous system releases the trauma and the cells are purifying. Because would you agree our cells change and we renew cells, especially when we're young, they renew even more radically. Well, this is really the linchpin of what happens when a person is releasing all their past wounds. What you're doing is you're letting go of all the muddy waters. You're releasing all of the stress. You are getting rid of that, and then you're giving yourself a chance to heal. Now, some people may heal dramatically through their physical being. They may find, like these women, they'd let go of their excess kilos. They find their power. They find their voice. I'd have women coming back to clinic and saying to me, Terri, you're never going to believe this. And I'd say, well, I hear this all the time, but they tell me they just made a decision, a big decision in their life. Their families were shocked. They'd spent years and years being a doormat. Now, interestingly, because, my signature program is in trauma and stress, the men would come back and their salaries, their work careers, their opportunities, because it's kind of like that instinct, that was what was the big shift. In fact, I had one man who had a humble little business, and he was just so blocked from, his childhood, that when we removed some of the trauma and some of the memories that he encountered from his family and his family of origin, his life began to take off. Now, I'll never forget, he came into clinic one day and he says, I know what I want to do today, Terri. I want to set my sights on 6 figures by July 1. Now, it was already like March. And I'm thinking, wow, this is really optimistic. And, as I looked into it, he recognized that the work that we were doing, and this is where I want to really build a solid foundation in this first training tonight, okay? Because that foundation that he built and that radical change that he experienced, he knew if he could shift to such a massive level, he could quite easily put it out there to actually create that kind of victory, that kind of success in his career and call it in. And guess what? He did. And my husband, Dr. Ian Messenger, was the first to tell me that he succeeded, because he was actually referred to me by Ian. And of course, it sort of, as time went on, I came to understand, well, my life began where it was. And now what am I doing? I am an online world-class coach. And I want to be able to share that with you. I'm not saying that every single person is going to want to become a coach, but I know that the people I attract have high aspirations. So you can learn to stand out in your field. And if you happen to be a coach, if you happen to be a healer or a light worker and you're struggling, you're stuck, it's because you are looking outside of yourself. You are looking what everybody else is doing. You are disconnecting with yourself when in fact it's not tactic that you need. So many people, they're going for shiny object, things, and they have shiny object syndrome. So they will, go and invest in this and this and this and this to try and make their life work. All you need to do is look inside you. And this is where I've developed this course specifically so that people, whatever you extrapolate, whatever you heal, whatever you transform, whatever you conquer, and whatever your victory is your crown of glory. Now, let me just take a drink. How are we all doing? I will look back at the comments, and I'm sure the workbook would be dropped by now because we're going to be finishing up really soon. So make sure that you do answer the questions, and I'm just going to really plow through the rest of this. So, okay, where are we up to? Okay, so rather than binging on all this stuff to try and make your life better, like the shiny object syndrome, what you really need to do is find your own fulfillment and your spiritual food, because overeating the wrong stuff will just make you feel stuffed, okay? And so many people are caught up in the trap of feeling overwhelmed. And this is the reason I have developed this course. So even though there is a very strong calling on my life to transform people's lives, there's an even higher calling to produce coaches, healers, and light workers that are going to take their legacy, or who you are in this world, that you can take this legacy out into the world and stand out. So when I say less is more, I'm not joking. Less is more. People think they need more. They feel that they're wanting more and they're searching. But the secret of your success is inside you. It's inside the gold nuggets of your life. And like I said at the beginning, if you were to put all of your past out in front of you, and you have on one side all of the negatives and the adversities, what if I told you that every single one of those negativities and those adversities were actually designed as your launching pad? You actually need that. That is your learning. That is your power. That is your gold. And of course, over here, when you look at the things you truly love and the things that bring you life and light you up, that is really going to correlate with your God-given gift. And we're going to cover that tomorrow. So when you understand your mission in life, like I have a mission to transform people at whatever level you are and bring out the best in you so that you can understand your God-given gift and lead to being a legend and launching your legacy in your life. Because when you have purpose, you are alive. You are truly alive. So what is your vision? What is your vision for your life? What does it look like? And what are you actually achieving? The workbook will help you go through all of these questions. So really, it's so quick in the work that I do. And what I do is I give people a mastery in the essence of being able to help a person to transform their life at the speed of light. And if your transformation is that you conquer the victory of relationships, or you conquer the victory of, something you stand for because you may have seen injustice being done when you're a child, you will find that whatever is really a burning, what I call grrr, which I'm going to go into tomorrow, and the grrr is really what it's all about. That's the gold. That is the things that really you saw and you experienced as a child become your launching pad. So when I'm teaching people a mastery and I'm giving them a mastery tool, you'll be pleased to know that I ask people to become a master of one thing. So what I'm utilizing, what I give to people and the coaches is a fast transformation that brings together in a script the ability to go back, to be able to look at your life, to be able to understand that every single adversity was really leading you as your launching pad into your destiny. And if I may say so, the people that come in to my work, I always know if their story is really bad, if they're suffering from, so much adversity, I'm going, yes, because I know that they're going to have this massive transformation. And then if they take that out to the world, can you imagine? And that is my dream. My dream is to revolutionize your life at the speed of light and then give you the mastery to revolutionize in the field and in the area that is your God-given gift. Oh, we're plowing through very fast. Okay, so this is about converting the pain of your story into your glory. So if I was to ask you the question, what is the element right now in your life that is just not working? Like if I was to actually ask you that question, would you know? Now, I want you to recognize one thing. If you are in public relations, it doesn't matter what industry you are in, even if you are selling shoes, if you are, in an accounting firm, if you are a coach, a healer, a business person, you've got to remember one thing, and this is the same with everything in life. People are on one side here in the present, in their position, stuck, overwhelmed, in need of the service that you have. And then on the other side is where they want to be. And I call that nirvana. So really it's your role to take them from where they are and help them to bring it together. So you're bridging the gap. So if I asked you a very short answer, what is the essence of what is really holding you back right now? If I asked you that question, now this is not in your workbook, so it's like, well, what you'll find is whatever is holding you back in your life, the next question is this: who's driving that bus? Who is driving that bus? Because what happens is whatever's holding you back, it doesn't matter about the story. Oh, this person and this person and this person. It's the emotion, it's the stuckness, it's the overwhelm, or it's the feeling of dissatisfaction or whatever it is. You need to be able to call it for what it is. We're not interested in the story. So if you gave it a name and just named the emotion and named it right now, I would then ask you the question, who is driving that bus? Who was the driver? Like if you go back into your childhood, you'll find that there was a driver. It came from somewhere else. It came from a belief system that formulated, and this is where tomorrow is going to be a huge day because it's going to be around relationships. So as you start to recognize that emotion, don't worry about the story, because really, if you tell me the story, let's face it, there's probably a trillion stories where you felt the same thing. So we're not interested in that. We know that that correlates back to when you were young. So if you were to hold your hands out and know that these are just parts of you, like that pain is just a part of you. It is not you, it is a part. And it's a part that you've been doing. And it's a part that also holds a purpose. It holds a purpose, right? And then there is the other side. There's the nirvana. And that side is, this is what you want. This is what you want to receive. This is what you prefer. Okay. So what if you could actually bring out on your hand the troubled side? And as you look at that, ask it, what's the purpose? What is the purpose for that being there? And if the purpose is that it is protecting you from something, it may be protecting you from a fear of failure or a fear of success, or it could be protecting you from, rejection, or it could be protecting you from fear. Just analyze what it is actually, what the purpose is. And then just quickly, just think about what that allows you, what that gives you. Now, if it's allowing you to have a certain protection, what else is it giving you? Now, the question is, do you give permission to actually release it? Could you give it permission to release now? And so if that's the case, and write down in the comments, yes or no, if you are prepared to give it permission. Also put in the comments, yes or no, if you recognize a purpose of a high intention. Now, as you recognize the high intention, what it allowed you, it perhaps protected you, and what else that gave you, and what that real protection was, what it was really serving you. And what if you could even look at it as in the way of, well, what is it got to do with your nirvana? Because there is a correlation. Now, as you just allow that part to know that that's separate from you, now look on the other side. I want you to see what you prefer. Perhaps you would prefer to see yourself empowered, lit up, clarity, clear, feeling in ease and flow, feeling healthy, feeling aligned. Have a think about what that represents. And if you look at both of them, notice if you were to give them both a color, what would be the different colors? If you were to give both of them a symbol, what would be the different symbol? Because that's the way your subconscious actually processes. So as you look at the coding of what you want, let's give that a voice. Now, what is it? What's that voice saying? What it wants for you? What is it that you prefer? How do you feel? What purpose? What will that give you? What else will it give you? What will it allow you to have? What will it allow you to be? What would your life be like by having that? Now, with all of these elements, just notice that there is something in common between both hands. So with that common denominator, it usually comes from a deep value, like they might both be wanting to have a balance or a protection or an ability to really shine and rise. So if you could imagine both of these parts talking to each other, imagine that you are going to bring both these parts together, and somehow in the magic of your super consciousness beyond you, beyond your logic, just knowing that this is the past and this is the future. I want you to imagine that you've done this whole 5 days, and just imagine and humor me and bring them both together. So now with them both together, you know your God-given purpose. Now you know every reason for everything happening. Now rub them together really fast, really, really fast, so that both parts are talking together, both parts are correlating. And as you do this, I want you now to just really fast, like you're lighting a fire, and then just allow them to talk to each other and feel the vibrational energy. Just breathe into it. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Now, as you feel that vibrational energy, what I want you to know is that everything in your life, in your experience, because I know that I want to be the most transformational coach in the world that can give a legacy for so many people. And I know that there's going to be other transformational coaches that may be as epic and just as great. However, this is what I want you to know. I want you to know that your gift, my gift, is that you have something that is inimitable. The inimitable part, and just keep your hands talking to each other, is the unsurpassed experience that you've had that no one else has had, in exactly the same process, in exactly the same steps, at exactly the same age. This is your unprecedented, unique, unsurpassed experience. And this is going to correlate with, by the end of the week, just feel your hands come together, because that's your subconscious mind just bringing everything together. Because as we move to the end of the week, it's going to be launching your legacy. And your legacy is going to be where the healing of the broken and the desired parts are going to come together, and they're going to make music, they're going to make love, and they're going to make this united congruency. And that brings me to the end of our first session tonight. So, as I said to you earlier, congruency is about what you require, closing that alignment gap. Now, I'm going to go out with asking you a question. And the questions that are in the workbook will really help you. If I told you that every human being on the planet Earth comes from 3 main values, that is, number 1, love and connection. Number 2, importance and significance. Number 3, certainty and confidence. If I told you that that is what the human values truly, truly are, and I told you that every negative thing that's ever happened to you in your life will come back to what you lacked in that. So by knowing that you lacked maybe the love, maybe the lack of importance, maybe the lack of certainty, when you understand this, this is what we're going to bring together. And we're going to allow you to stand in that code of power. So I want you to do your homework, and I want you to come back at the same time, being 5:30 AWST for Tuesday. And I want to thank you for coming in, and make sure you have your workbook. And remember that this is temporary. So this is not going to stay up. It's going to be actually going into my paid website, and it becomes part of the format that I give to coaches, so that they can actually begin their journey of creating their unprecedented, their unique, and their absolute 100% authentic legacy. So on that note, thank you for joining, and I will see you same time tomorrow.